When people talk about genes and genetics, they maybe mean different things. So there's the genetics that you're born with, the genes that you've got, and any mutations or changes in those genes. And then there are genetic changes that do run in families. Now, people may say, I'm at risk, there's a big history of cancer in my family. But as I said, 1 in 2 of us may get cancer. We're all going to know a family member who's had cancer. If you have a large family, you're going to think, I'm at high risk, there's a lot of people in my family with cancer. But if you look at things like cancers at an early age in your family, that's potentially a risk factor for you. People who have a history of linked cancers, so women who have had breast cancer and ovarian cancer together, that's a significant risk factor. There are some different ethnic groups where there are different risk factors. People who have had more than one cancer in their lifetime, that suggests they may have a genetic problem which could be inherited. Again, if you're worried, talk to your doctor. There are tests that can be done. And if you are at risk, 2 things. The fact that you've got a risk factor doesn't mean you're going to get cancer, but the fact you haven't got any risk factors doesn't mean you're not going to get cancer. So you'll still have to follow all the advice on healthy eating and not smoking, etc.
So when it comes to those sort of specific genes, and I think the most common one that people have heard of is the BRCA gene when it comes to breast cancer. What proportion of cancers are linked to specific gene mutation?
In terms of inherited genes, probably not more than about 10% of all cancers. Pretty well all cancers you could probably trace back to a genetic fault somewhere, but it's something that has appeared entirely at random that isn't inherited. But 10% is significant, and if you're one of those at-risk groups, it may mean that your risk could be a lot higher than 10% of getting cancer.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we talk about how genes are inherited from our parents, but actually those lifestyle behaviours that you've spoken about are often inherited from our parents as well. You know, we're more likely to have similar behaviours to what our parents and what our family do. And then also the environmental things that, where we live, if we're exposed to certain chemicals, pollution, they kind of run in families as well. So I guess when you're thinking about your family history, it's quite complex, isn't it?
Oh, it's very good. There are so many different factors in play, as you said there, Zoe, and there's only so much that you can alter. So it's all about being aware, and any worries at all, get advice. You can get advice from your GP, you can get your NHS website, Bupa website, virtual GP consultations with Bupa. There are so many ways now. Really, don't die of ignorance, as they once said about another disease.